Okay. So just to review a little bit before we start. So just to review a little bit. Why do I have that echo? Okay. I got an echo. Let me close the YouTube maybe. I don't know why. I muted it. Why is that happening? Maybe it'll stop. Okay. All right. So we are learning Likutey Halachos. This is Hilchos Maser Matan Daled. It's in the second volume, you'll see, of Likutey Halachos, which is Or Chaim Days. And it is Ois Yud. Let me see if I can attach the link again. See if I can find it quickly. Here it is.
Where are you gonna? I have the PDF.
There you go.
I might be able to put it onto the WhatsApp chat.
Yeah. Okay. I just put a link there to download it. And where's the chat for the YouTube? I'm gonna find the chat over there. Chat is disabled. I don't know why. I'm not sure why chat is disabled on YouTube. Can I change that? Let's see. I just disable my chat.
It says it doesn't support the PDF. You want me to email you the? I don't know if I can do anything. If you have it, can I? I'm wondering if I can. Yeah, no, the chat is disabled for the live stream. But I think we should post it on YouTube because I think if people come in, if they come and watch it after, do they see the chat?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so. I did get it. I got the chat back on somehow. Okay, the chat is on YouTube, so I posted it there. And I posted it there. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't let you post it on the WhatsApp? No? Okay, either way. I got it on YouTube, and it is on Hangouts. So anyone that wants to download it, you got the link over there?
Yeah.
You can go for it. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go to Ois Yud, letter Yud, and shame we didn't do this before Shavuos, but I guess we'll know for next year. So Reb Noson's going to connect these ideas. We're basically talking about the idea of the Ora Yosher and the Ora Choizer that we spoke about, the directly looking at a Kodesh Baruch Hu, and then the part of the vision which comes back to you that completes the vision. And we said that only happens when you focus on something. When your eyes focus on something, there's a connection that's made where the vision returns to you with a measure of das, some kind of das, some kind of knowledge that returns to you. That's the concept that Rabbi Nachman spoke about in the lesson. So we are going to relate this concept now to what we do on Shavuos by staying up the entire night and learning. So it says, this is the reason why we stay up the whole night on Shavuos, and we learn, or the people that have the minhag of saying tikkun. They say a little part of the start and the end of basically all of the Torah. And again, the reason that we do this on Shavuos is to make up for the pagam, the mistake we made before we received the Torah, that we fell asleep, and we were supposed to stay awake in anticipation of receiving HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah. we fell asleep. So in order to make up for that, we now stay up on Shavuos. It's brought down the Svarim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives the Torah to us every single Shavuos anew. It's not just some kind of custom that we repeat this yontiv in memory or recognition of. There's actually a new giving of the Torah. We received a new Torah, which means new insights, new understanding, and a connection to the Torah. We receive this on Shavuos anew every single year. So to make up for, and that's considered like receiving the Torah, because if you think about it, the point of receiving the Torah, it really wasn't just that Hashem gave us the Torah, like some great monumental historical event that you can cover and take pictures and videos and put into a museum and remember it every single year. That's not the purpose. The Torah is a living Torah. It's Torah's Chaim. And the point of Torah is that the Torah is our guidebook. It teaches us how to connect to Hashem. It teaches us what life is all about. So receiving the Torah anew is really the same thing as receiving the Torah all over again. Because again, the purpose of Torah wasn't just some monumental, miraculous type of one-time event. It was made as a living guide. So if we connect to it in different ways, in new ways, then it's like we receive the Torah all over again, as if it hadn't even been given in the first place. So since we're receiving it all over again, we can try to make up for that pagam, that fault that we had, that we fell asleep, and we did not anticipate the receiving of Torah with enough. There was some lack of anticipation. Somewhere along the process, something went wrong, and we fell asleep, and that was considered a fault. So therefore, we stay up. So this is Os Yud. Therefore, we stay up the entire evening of Shavuos, entire night, l'saknes heinayim, to fix these eyes, the same eyes that fell asleep. We want to now fix them. We want to make a tikkun to them. Kedei lechavein eineinu l'Hashem yisborach levad. The purpose of this is that we want to, as we're talking about the Or HaYosher and Or HaChozer, this direct looking. The direct looking refers to looking with our entire being to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what we've been talking about the entire time. This is the 6th class. So we've been talking about this every single shir. The idea of constantly looking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that our whole purpose in life is to constantly looking for this relationship and connecting to Hashem. It's true with our physical eyes, where we look maybe outside at the sky or at nature and we see Hashem, but it's referring to a deeper type of looking, which is more of like a soul type of looking. We look for our neshama, and our essence, our purpose of living is constantly in reflection of trying to build a deeper relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, looking for a Kadosh Baruch Hu, trying to discover a Kadosh Baruch Hu in our lives. And he says that is Ayidei Eisek Torah B'chol Halayla. That's, we're now looking to Kadosh Baruch Hu through Torah study, through learning Torah the entire night of Shavuos. Shu B'chines Einayim. Shazeu Ikri Yisod Kol HaTorah Kula. This is the foundation of the entire Torah. K'moshe Kosuv Einecho L'noichach Yebitu V'Afapecho Yeshiru Negdecho. Our eyes, they're looking towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I think we already dealt with this a little bit, which was the idea that Torah is a way of looking to Hashem, right? It can be very hard to see Hashem. We don't, obviously Hashem is not physical, so we can't see him in the physical sense. So we need different ways of connecting to Hashem. And the main way that we can do that is through the Torah and through the mitzvahs. The Torah mitzvahs allow us to focus on what Hashem is all about, to learn about Hashem and think to Hashem, connect with Hashem, right? All of that is done through the Torah. Let's say, for example, someone studies Chassidus, Breslov, or whatever it is. So that's a very obvious example because it's talking explicitly about our relationship with Hashem. So our entire focus and our entire brain power, everything is on the idea of bringing the awareness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu into our lives. But it's true of all Torah because there's different reasons for it. But all Torah, one reason Rabbi Nachman often explains is that is really, if you take the whole Torah Shebiksav, you take away all the spaces in a Torah, in a Sefer Torah, so there's ways of seeing all the letter combinations is spelling out the names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Like let's say Yud Ke Vav Ke. There's different ways, different letter combinations spelling out the names of Hashem, which refer to His midos and things like that. If you, Rabbi Nachman often says this example. So all of Torah Shbitzav is really composed of names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The entire idea of Torah is to connect us to Hashem, to bring Hashem into our lives. And therefore, when we learn Torah, we stay up Shavuos, our eyes, let's say, especially if you eat a nice Yontiv meal and you start to get really tired, right? And your eyes start closing and you start to squint. So that's very symbolic of what happened before we actually received the Torah. And now by forcing oneself to stay up and concentrating on the Torah, which is really our way of experiencing Hashem in our lives, so that really makes up for that lack that we had. It brings back our focus to Hashem, and that's why we do it the night of Shavuos. So Rav Nosson digs a little deeper, and he says he wants to now expand on this idea. He says, it's brought down in Mishnah's Chasidim, which is Sefer, that through staying up the entire night of Shavuos, there's a special tikkun, which is that it's mechaber, it atones for the avera of kares. There's certain averas that if one does, they get a punishment of kares, which means that their ears are cut off. Okay, and kares literally means to be cut off. So that's a very serious punishment, and that's considered a very serious transgression. But through staying up the night of Shavuos and studying Torah, it doesn't actually say studying Torah, it just says through staying up the night of Shavuos, one is able to be mesaking, they're able to rectify those types of blemishes and obviously not have to endure that kind of punishment. So why is that? What's so special? What's the connection between staying up on Shavuos and averas which have an oynish of kares? It says about Rishoyim, when they transgress the Torah, it says that they will be cut off. That nefesh, that soul will be cut off. Their end will be to be cut off. That's the punishment that the Torah describes about the Rishoyim. The same way we explained that through every single mitzvah, what we're able to do is we are able to connect and unify all the various spiritual worlds. When we do a mitzvah, even though it looks like we're only doing something on this world, we don't see the effects. Our eyes, we live in the physical world, and therefore we might only see, our eyes are limited to perhaps the physical effects that a mitzvah has. So if you give tzedakah to someone, maybe you see that it helps them out and they're very happy, stuff like that. But what we don't see is that this physical world is connected to many, many supernal, spiritual kind of worlds, and there's a colossal effect. And what that mitzvah does is it brings everything it brings a unification of all these worlds to bring them all under the oneness of Hashem. Because we are, by doing a mitzvah, what we're doing is we're showing that we recognize that the entire creation is under the domain of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's under the supervision of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this world, the way we're showing that is because if even in this world, where Hashem is so hidden, where we don't see Hashem, obviously in a spiritual world, one can witness Hashem, and Hashem's existence is obvious. But if in this physical world where Hashem is so much concealed, if one can reflect through the mitzvahs, through their emunah in the mitzvahs, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Asher kitshanu mitzvayso v'tivanu, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has commanded me to do this mitzvah, and I do that, and I'm therefore reflecting my emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that He has commanded me to do this mitzvah, and that even in this world where Hashem is so hidden, still the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is fulfilled. And that brings everything into this tremendous unity. Hashem alone is the king of this world. So that's what a mitzvah does, right? A mitzvah takes the greatest place of Hastara, the greatest place where Hashem is hidden, and reveals that even in that place, Hashem's subjects are still doing His will, and Hashem is therefore still the king in that place. when you're able to do that, that brings everything on top of it into unison, because obviously over there, any distance there is between the recognition of Hashem and what's going on over there, any gap there is will easily be fixed, since in this world the gap is a huge gap, and over there the gap is much, much smaller. So when that awareness is brought in through us all the way on the bottom, it reflects all the way up, and it brings all of these worlds together, and that's the tremendous effect that we can have. We will actually speak more about this right all the way at the end of this piece of Likutey Halachos today, this idea. But we have this down to up type of effect where we bring everything back into unison with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now that you understand how it works in the positive sense, Reb Nosson will now go and flip it the other way and explain how it works in the opposite, the negative sense of when one transgresses. That's when one does a mitzvah. So it works the same way in the opposite direction. Through when one does an avera, when one sins, what they do is they bring a denial of the existence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu into the world. Right? When you did a mitzvah, it was that you recognized that there is Hashem, and Hashem commanded you, and you fulfilled the will of Hashem in reflection of that emunah that you had. So to the opposite is true when someone does an avera chas v'shalom. What they're doing is they're saying really that they are denying that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has commanded them to do something. And by denying that, they're saying that there is no Hashem. If there would be Hashem, and He created you, and He sustains you, so just like a person has a boss at work, and the boss pays their salary and their paycheck. So when he demands that you do certain work, obviously you have whether you like it or not, you try your best to fulfill what your boss says. So in this crude example, it would be the same way with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. By doing mitzvahs with emunah, we're reflecting that we understand what the real truth of the universe is. And therefore, it's the opposite. When one does an avera, they are denying the existence of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Nachman has a Sefer Midas, one of his classics. He wrote it when he was very, very young. It's an incredible Sefer. I think they say he wrote it when he was 7 or 8, if I recall. And what he did was he went through all of Shas, everything that Chazal says, and he found segulas. He found various things like in different topics. Let's say refuah, someone needs healing, different types of things. Someone needs a shidduch, all these different types of things that people need. He went through all the Gemara and everything Chazal says, and he found, based on learning up all these things, pieces of advice that you could follow that would help you spiritually to be zochet to all those different types of things. If a person's working on anger, all kinds of stuff like that. So, pesha machnis kfir ba'adam. It says over there that pesha, doing averos, it's machnis kfir ba'adam. It allows kfira to seep in. It allows the denial of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to seep in. And this is really a big chiddush, because if you think about it, you would think that if someone did an avera, okay, they did an avera, they did something wrong, and they have to do tshuva for it. But it's actually much deeper, because it allows this kfira. What happens now is your connection. If you look at Hashem as having a relationship with us, if you start to look at Yiddishkeit in those terms, so what you've done now is that connection has really been weakened, because there's this element of kfira which has now been brought in between the two of you. It doesn't really exist, but you feel that way. Your relationship is strained, and you feel that there's a measure of kfira that is between you and the HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
It seems to make sense, though, Rabbi Yossi, because I'll tell you, like, one of my Rebbeim, a couple Shabbosim ago, was talking about how, in the playbook of the Yetzer Hara, very often, the Yetzer Hara will, to distract you from the actual sin itself, it'll make you question the premise of the sin, right? So, let's say, whatever, there's a certain avera that you're fighting, so it won't be whether this avera itself is something that I should do or not, but even something more basic, such as who knows, maybe there isn't even a higher being, or maybe the halacha isn't like this. So instead of like fighting the real fight that you're supposed to be fighting itself, so you start undermining the premise of whether that is even a mitzvah at all, so to speak. So that sort of speaks to this as well, I mean,
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely. Rabbi Nachman says that he believed that the people that had trouble with their emunah, like the philosophers, those types of people, they were just trying to find justification for being able to do whatever they wanted to in life.
Right.
You know, so yeah, that would definitely be true. That would definitely be true. But it seems to also be I think he's saying over here that this is a reflection of doing averos. It happens automatically. If someone does averos, they cool off that relationship with Hashem, so that it's not just that they did something wrong, but their belief in Hashem is diminished as a result of doing the avera, which is something that a person might not realize is an effect of an avera. You know, like you say, a lot of times people think that like philosophical reasoning or is really like a thing within itself, and avera is a separate thing. Putting the two together, I think, is a bit of a chiddush. People might not realize that. They might just think that, you know, like, I'm able to explore the existence of Hashem, and if I believe, I do, but the avera doesn't really have any effect on that. And like what you're saying, and what it seems to be saying here is, no, it does. It absolutely, by doing avera, there will be an after effect where philosophically your emunah will be more challenged and your relationship will be compromised. Now, this is not real. I just want to point that out. It's not as if Hashem exists any more, any less, obviously, but it's the way you feel about Hashem, and we're going to say that this is the idea of kores, of cutting off. It says because it's pushing away, as far as you experience it, it's pushing away Hashem's malchus, his kingdomship. It's pushing it away from him. It's separating it from Hashem. Since you are denying that Hashem supervises everything in creation, so now you're denying that Hashem supervises everything in creation. Therefore, we said that our relationship to Hashem, we already established this principle previously, that our relationship to Hashem is reflective of how he will then relate to us. So since we're now living in a way where we don't believe in the hashgacha of Hashem 1,000%, because we're denying it by doing the avera, so now Hashem turns to us and says, okay, so I'm not going to deal with you in the most direct way anymore with my own hashgacha. So we've separated the malchus, we've separated Hashem's kingdomship from creation. And that's a very terrible thing, because Hashem wants to be the mashgiach of this world. He wants us to realize that we have to do it through our emunah. It's not something we can see with our eyes. It's something that we have to do through our emunah, but that really is the purpose of why we were created, is to go into this blank space, or this black space, or whichever way you want to express that, and shine the light that Hashem is really there. We want to reveal, we want to pull away the curtain and show that really Hashem is there behind the curtain. So we've now separated, we've kind of taken the curtain and we've closed the curtain. So now Hashem says, okay, then I'm going to deal with you in a similar fashion. Hashem deals with us in the way that he would deal with an avodah zarah, akum, someone that serves the stars, that believes in the stars, believes in the power of the stars. So that's the way Hashem deals with us. Now, it has to still be from Hashem, because everything creation is from Hashem. There is no real creation other than anything Hashem created. But it's called chatzi re'us. It's a half a vision. It's not that full vision that we had. And the Zohar refers to it as behind his shoulders. It's like someone that looks like this, you know, they're looking kind of like that. They're not in full view. They're doing it very half-heartedly. So practically what that means is the Hainu Shemachaya Oisim Derech HaKlippis, that Hashem then goes and he sustains the world through the klippis, through the forces of evil, not directly from him. And these these outer forces, which are the things that cause damage in this world. So Hashem has created a system where he has these outside forces, these evil forces, and he allows them to be the one the ones to provide the sustenance to the world. He uses them like as a shliach, and that's a very negative thing. So what happens now is, let's say in the example of parnasa that we've been speaking about so much, if you want to now get your parnasa, and you're not looking directly at a Kodesh Baruch Hu, you're looking away from Hashem, right? You've separated from that belief that Hashem is really the one who sustains everything. You've cut yourself off from that. So then Hashem will reflect in His relationship back to you that way, and He'll allow these forces to sustain you. The problem is that these forces are negative forces, and the way you'll have to get your parnasa will be in a very bitter and difficult way. So this is what it means to cut off. You've cut off HaKadosh Baruch Hu, His malchus from this world. The same way that they wanted to cut off the kingdomship of Hashem from this world, so too they become cut off from Hashem. They're not able to become included within Hashem, and therefore they can't draw down the emunah, the godly emunah of Hashem onto them, which is the full hashkacha pratis, the full supervision, interaction of Hashem, so that they become focused in His eyesight and pictured in His eyesight, before Hashem looks at them and His eyesight reaches them. Hashem turns away, and His eyesight, it becomes scattered to those outer forces, the evil forces. So now they're cut off from the direct vision of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is what the pasuk said, that their end will be to be cut off. Okay, so this is the way it works with the hashgacha. Now, let's go further. So Rabbi Nassim splits this up like this. He says, the first act of looking, that Hashem is looking and He wants to sustain the entire world, that is called Rashis. It's the beginning. When Hashem created this world, He created in the beginning in order to sustain all of us and in order to do good to all of us. So if there's a rashis of His beginning, there's an end. What's the end of Hashem's plan? The end of it is that after that initial looking, when that looking is actually drawn down into our lives, into all the details of our lives, in order to give us every single thing that we need, that's the end of His looking. So first He looks just in general, that He wants to create this world, He wants to create the whole universe in order to do good for everybody. Then as things roll along, the end is supposed to be that each one of us receives exactly what we need in our lives. That's the completion of the process. So there's an initial looking to do things right, and there's the completion, the achris, the end, which is where everything actually comes down to us, and we're able to live our lives properly with everything that we need. So, someone who believes in hashgacha pratis, they believe that everything, their whole life, is only from Hashem, everything they need. He created everything, everything mamash from nothing. There was nothing there before, nothing existed. There was no jobs before, there were no, everything was created from Hashem. Hashem is constantly giving us what we need. So the way that you complete the process of Hashem's looking is Hashem looks originally, and He says, I want to do good, so He starts to create the world. Then by us turning to that force, turning to that light, turning to that sight, whatever you want to call it, by us turning there and recognizing that that force is what sustains us and every single thing that we need, that is what then draws down the bracha from Hashem into our lives. It causes Hashem to focus on us and to give us exactly what we need. So that is Bechinas HaKol. That's in the Torah we spoke about how when one looks, it then hits something, and only when it hits something does the eyesight return to the person. For example, the person wants to see someone in a crowd, their friend, they want to find their crowd, so it's only when they see that face, that's when there's a hakah, that's when their eyesight hits it comes into focus, it hits that person, and then it returns to them and gives them the knowledge that their friend is standing over there and he's wearing a blue shirt and has glasses. So too over here, Kaviyachol, the same process happens with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Initially, he looks to do good, he creates the whole world, but he needs the Hakkol, he needs it to hit something, he needs it to hit us. The way it hits us, his lens, his focus is by us. When we turn to him and we say, we need your help, Hashem, we recognize that everything's from you, that causes him to then focus on us so that we are then become pictured in his mind, and we go back into his mind so that he's able to continue the process of creation and sustaining of the universe in its full and complete way. We go back and we become pictured in his eyes. So this process we spoke about in the Torah of the Ora Yasher and the Ora Choizer. We've already explained previously how it works with us when we turn to Hashem, but it also works the other way because everything's reflective. And Rabbi Nachman said this in the lesson too. He hinted to this. He said that it's also true of Hashem that there is an Ora Yasher, Ora Choizer. And we see this over here, that this is the way Hashem sustains the world. What we've now done is we've attached the beginning and the end of the creation of the world together. That the lowest of all the levels, we're like the lowest of everything creation. Over here, this world that we live in, so it becomes connected to the beginning thought of Hashem when Hashem wanted to create the world. We say this in Kabbalah Shabbos. We praise the Kodesh Baruch Hu. We say this about Shabbos, that the end of his thought process was the end of his actions were attached to the beginning of his thought process. So we bring this process to fruition. This is what we do through our emunah and our bitachon of looking at Hashem. Hashem is the beginning and the end. We're the middle over here. We're the middle that causes the focus to happen. Besides for me, there is no other Hashem. What Rav Nosson is trying to say over here is that we have a very important point to play, and a very important role to play in this whole Ma'aseh Bereishis that Kadosh Baruch Hu created, because Hashem created is a complete thing, but it can only become completed through us. By us having emunah b'tachon in Hashem, we cause him to be able to focus, so to speak, so that he's able to complete the creation in a way that we receive everything that we need, which was what his original thought process was. Because there's no way to separate between what Hashem wanted to do and what Hashem did. Hashem is perfect. He's not like a human being. But he, so to speak, created this world in a way where he needs us so that becomes a reality. So that his original thought is consistent with his actions. Hashem is perfect, so it should be that way. And it happens through us. We're able to guide this process because we cause him to focus on us, so that there's that, it's batish, it hits us, Hashem's hashgacha focuses on us, and then it returns to him so that he's able to follow through with his original machshava, which really is to benefit us in the maximum way possible. That's really why Hashem created the whole world. It says in the Mesilas Yesharim, to be nenam eziv shchinosoi, that we should benefit from the light of his Shekhinah. Hashem is a meitiv, Hashem is always doing goodness, but we play an important role in this whole process so that his original machshava is consistent with his actions. And that's why it's so important that we do this, and that can only happen through us living in this world where Hashem is hidden. It's only possible by revealing Hashem over there, that he's the Melech. That's how we're able to show how even if Hashem is totally hidden, he's still Hashem, it's still part of his Malchus. We complete that process. So we're going to skip now that we brought out this point. We're going to skip to the end, the last piece of this Likutey Halachos. It's a second to last, but we'll go through to the end. It's Yud Zayin, number 17. Sorry, it's Tes Zayin I want to start from, which is number 16. and then we'll do number 17. And this is going to build on the concept that we just spoke about. And generally speaking about the entirety of the world, Rav Nosson says, in today's generations, which is the Ikvus of Mashiach, it's the final days before the coming of Mashiach. So in general, the time period that we live in, besides for our world being called Achris, besides for our world being called the end, because the physical world is the lowest point of creation, but also historically, this time period is also called Achris. It's the end, right? Because it's Ikvus and Mashiach. It's the time period right before Mashiach comes, which will usher in the age of Mashiach. The end of days, Moshe Rabbeinu prophesied regarding this in the Torah. He talked about the difficulties at the end of days. Because we're at that final stage where we are trying to tie up the history of the world back with that original machshava of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore the Yetzer Hara is really fighting his final battle, and he's exerting himself with all of his power to try to stop this process from happening. Okay, this is the greatest thing we can do, is tie up the creation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu back to his original machshava. This is the purpose of why we were created, to be able to do this. By doing this, we actually become creators, so to speak, like Hashem, because we do something that no malach can do. We do something very creative in this way. And we become most similar to Hashem, and therefore we can enjoy a maximum olam haba. There's no other way that we can become like Hashem unless we're able to give like him and create like him. And we have the ability to sort of help the creation of this world by tying the end back to the origin. Okay, that's why this is so important over here. By doing that, we become godly. Many, unfortunately, of our brothers, like we see, because the Yetzer Hara is so powerful today, they unfortunately were subdued. They were drawn in to the taivas and the kfiras of the Yetzer Hara, and they threw off their yoke completely. I think this is not the one second. Let me just see if this was the piece. Sorry, give me 1 second. I just want to make sure this was the piece. Okay, anyway, we'll do it. I forgot. But he talks about over here, this is the time, just for historical reference, talking about the Askala, the Maskilim. The usual way it would work was that people would start to learn the Svarm of the Maskilim, of the Enlightenment movement. And the first thing to do, they wanted to become educated and to dress like the non-Jewish people. Until that point, they lived in ghettos or in shtetl. They were always separate. And the Jewish communities were very insular. And what the Maskilim did was they did a lot of things. For example, they translated the Tanakh into German. Moshe Mendelssohn did that. The reason why he did it was so that Jews would learn German. It was an easy way to try to get them to learn the non-Jewish languages. And once they were able to speak German and read in German, they became very influenced by the German culture. And the next thing that usually followed was they would cut off their payas and shave or whatever and put on. They had worn long clothing until then. They would start wearing short clothing. So it's obviously a different time period than today. But that was one of the steps that they took on the way to assimilation. And Rav Nosson, witnessing that, talks about it over here, that the Yetzer Hara is very strong, and that's why you see so much assimilation. And he says, they cut off their beards, they wore non-Jewish clothing, they learned the non-Jewish languages, and philosophy. So that's one type of people that were affected. And he's really asking the question of why is it that there was never assimilation like this before. It was only in the recent last 200 or 300 years that we saw this kind of assimilation where, let's say in America, 90% of Jews are really assimilated as far as Torah observance is concerned. If you look at marriage, it's probably 50 or 60%, the intermarriage rate. So this never happened in our whole history we've been in Golos for about 2,000 years, and it's only now. So it's kind of, whenever you look at history and you see that things are consistent, and then all of a sudden there's something that totally changes, you've got to right away ask the question, what's different? And he's saying that it's because it's the Achres HaYomim, and this is the time where we have to tie together the end with the beginning. And therefore the Yetzer Hara is fighting with all of his might to stop this, because as soon as we do that, we have reached the most amazing thing that we possibly could have done. And that's why there's so much assimilation. He says, and even the people that are they're kosher a little bit, which means they're observant, which have nothing to do with that type of lifestyle. They also usually are overwhelmed with work, and they're very weakened from really studying Torah properly and really serving the Kodesh Baruch Hu properly. There's very few that are really learning a lot of avodah and being busy with their avodah Hashem, like the previous generations. So he's saying that there's a general trend over here that's taking place that we can see with our own two eyes that supports what he's saying, that the Yetzer Hara is really out there to get us. And today we have other things too. We have internet and media, which do whatever they can to cut us off from a Kodesh Baruch Hu and to weaken us. We can be busy 24 hours a day just staring at a phone and just forget about what the tachlis of life is. And it's very easy to do that. So all of this is because we're right near the end, the completion. We're very near to the end. And it can't be that we're going to wait too much longer for Mashiach to come. When Mashiach is going to come, it'll be the final Geula. Like we say in Kedusha Musaf, this Geula will be different than all the other Geulas. The Geula of Mitzrayim, there was an end to it. But this Geula, there's not going to be any other Geulas after it. Then the final tikkun will be complete, the tachlis and shleimus, perfectly, which means that the end will be even better. The end is even better than the beginning. Every original Geula had after the Golos. Now we're waiting for Mashiach. He's going to complete this final process. The entire creation has been a process to get us to this point. That's what he's trying to say. Which means that we will constantly be returning to Hashem forever. I will make with you a new covenant. Like the original covenant, and they broke that bris. You will not become defiled anymore with the avodah zaros. You won't become defiled anymore. You'll be loyal to me. And I will then place my mikdash, my base of mikdash, within your midst forever. Since now is at the end, so therefore the Yetzer Hara does everything possible to hold us back from serving the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And he brings a lot of strife into the world. So therefore we have to do whatever we can to encourage ourselves and to be strong, and everyone has to strengthen themselves to finish what they've started. If you started serving a Kodesh Baruch Hu, then good, continue and finish it. If you haven't yet started, so you need to start now before it's too late, so to speak, and complete what you're doing. Now the obvious question is, it's not so easy to complete what we've been working on. So how do we do that? So Rav Nosson says, the main way to complete this whole process is the emunah. When we truly believe in Hashem and in His hashgacha, we don't have to worry about parnasa. We don't have to worry about our livelihood. Not only that, but nothing in life can really knock us down. We don't have to be worried about anything. It's really the opposite. Rav Nosson says an amazing thing. If we got knocked down, and that's usually the reason why we stop after we've started, right? We just ask the question, what can we do to complete it? So usually the reason why we can't complete things is because we get knocked off. So Nassim says, if we got knocked off, it's the opposite. That through falling down, we should get even more chizik. Why should one become? Why should one fall in their mind? Which means, why should one lose their resolve? The reason why a person loses their resolve is they wanted to do the right thing. They're trying to learn. They're trying to daven. They're trying to do chesed. They're trying to be a good friend. And trying to be loyal in their relationship, so on and so forth, right? And then they fall from that and they do an avera. So they say, I tried, I wanted to do the right thing, but I failed. So they lose their resolve. It says, if that's the reason why you're losing your resolve, this itself is the reason why you should strengthen yourself. If you really believe that you had the power, that your avera means something, right? Before we spoke about how the avera separates between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu in that relationship. So if you really believe that you've done something and you lost something, so to speak, you've now damaged something, which means that there is something there, and your actions do matter, and until now they had some kind of effect, and you built something, right? But now you've gone and you've damaged it somehow, so you're admitting to this whole process. You believe now that you've caused damage to the upper worlds, the supernal worlds. This reflects the fact that the bottom line is that you really have emunah, right? If I've done something bad and it bothers me, it means that I have emunah and I realize that my actions do matter and I do have a relationship with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And if you have emunah still, then you will forever be hopeful. Because the whole point of all the Torah and all the mitzvahs is just to build emunah. He calls man sheyesh le'emunah. As long as you have emunah, yesh le'tikun le'olam, you will always have tikun. There was someone that fell very greatly. He really felt like it's over with. He can't continue on. So Reb Nachman said to him, listen, buddy, if you believe so strongly that you damaged so much, then you have to then at the same time believe that you can rebuild, because if you damage so much, it means that you built so much and you damaged that. It's like, if a guy built like a little tiny thing and then he knocked it down. Okay, so how upset he's going to be. But if you're so upset about it, it means that your actions had a colossal effect and you did a tremendous amount. And now even if you made a wrong turn, if you've done something bad, but the same way you built all that till now, then you can go back and continue rebuilding it. All that is within your power. Your problem is that you've lost your belief in yourself. You think you did something wrong, so you don't have the emunah anymore, like we were talking about before. But that's just the trick of the Yetzer Hara, because if you feel bad, it means that you do have emunah. That's the whole point. It means that you understood that you did something until now. And if you've understood you did something until now, it means you really do have emunah. And if you really do have emunah, then you can get right back up and continue on further. Right? The Yetzer Hara's only way to make you stop and make you not finish what you've started is by trying to convince you that you are an afterthought and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't care about you and he's not interested in you anymore. But if you really feel bad about something, that's reflective of the fact that you don't really subscribe to that whole system that he has. And you believe that you did do something till now and you accomplished till now. So if you've accomplished till now, you've done something till now, so take that emunah, even from the sadness that you're feeling, and turn it around and use that to get you to pick yourself back up on your 2 feet and to march further. And that's the way you'll be able to complete what you've started. We've already explained thousands of times. There is no such thing as yush. There's no such thing as giving up. And what that means, it's not a nice thing. It's not like a bumper sticker. It means that Rabbi Nachman said it doesn't really exist. Giving up is not a real thing. There's no such thing as a person who should ever give up. As long as a person is still alive, it means Hashem still has confidence in him that he can still do whatever he has to do. There's stories in Chazal where there were people that they were koina olam haba b'sha'achas, and in 1 second they were able to be koina olam haba. Kodesh Baruch Hu has a tremendous amount of patience, and if we're still alive, it means that he's waiting for us. A person Rabbi Nachman explained that should not be in our vocabulary the words "I'm giving up." That is a total fallacy. The through this Amunah, we're able to tie everything back to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Like we explained, in this world, everything's hidden, and by acknowledging that Hashem is here, we take even the most distant places, and we take that part of creation, and we bring it all the way back to Hashem's original thought in creating this, where it was obvious that there was Hashem, and it was obvious where the origin of everything came from. It says in the end, a person will be shalom, he'll be complete. Through the Amunah Hashem, a person could jump over every single obstacle that the Yetzer Hara could possibly throw in his way, whether they're mental obstacles, whether they are weaknesses. If a person realizes that Hashem appreciates every little thing that they do, and that they have purpose, and that Hashem is keeping them alive because He believes in them, then just by having the moon and doing whatever he can jump over all of the obstacles. Through moon we jump over everything. Because you believe that Hashem is the beginning, and He's also the end. He wants to complete this process. Hashem didn't create the world to leave it half finished. Hashem is perfect. If Hashem created the world, it was to deliver the finished project. The finished project, and you have your role to play. You're part of this. Hashem chose all the tzaddikim to help Him complete His creation. They're part of that. They bring it to fruition. At the same time, He picked us too, because He enjoys and He has tainug, He has pleasure from the avodah, from our worship, even if the avodah that we have it's from the lowest of the low. Even if the lowest of the low does something for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem has tremendous tainug, He has tremendous pleasure from this. Even Rishoyim and people that do averas and Poshei Yisrael, calls man Hashem Yisrael Nikra Aleim, as long as they still consider themselves to be Jewish, then Shesh Lam Emunah Daim, which means that they have still Emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who is Baruch Mekabel Tainov is Paris Mehem because Nua Kalob Almosh Oislan Pa'omim Betfila Oiba is a mitzvah. Even if the person feels completely cut off, if they have even a little bit of Emunah in Hashem and they do the smallest thing, they daven a little bit, they say Shema, they cheer someone up, they give a little bit of tzedakah. Even the smallest thing that they do, Hashem gets tremendous tainug, tremendous pleasure from them. Kavur Bekama Komis, like we explained in many places. For example, the Hator Vahi Heimrik Misakayim of Shar Mekomis. He had tzaddikim v'agadolim, so he's going to take this further. He had tzaddikim v'agadolim v'marlo, neged rishoyim v'katan v'marlo, hey bechinas reishis v'achris. The tzaddikim, they are the reishis, they are the beginning. When Hashem created the world, He had these tzaddikim, they came to do all the hard stuff at the beginning. He had tzaddikim hey bechinas reish kol dagan, they're the head, the beginning or the head of all the levels. They take the highest and most difficult levels. Whereas those that are the smallest and they're the most distant, so they are on the lowest level, and they have to take care of those lowest levels. So they're like the end. The beginning where it's hard and all the original hard work, that's the tzaddikim. The end where people are very distant, so those are the smallest people, they have to take care of that part of creation. Hashem is Baruch Rishon v'Achron. Hashem includes the beginning and the end. Umagim Reishis Achris. He connects from the beginning to the end. He connects his original thought to the end actions. Soif kol dargin v'reish kol dargin. The end of all levels with the beginning of all levels. Hashem combines all of those. Shekol ze yochel iskois afilu akalsh bekalim v'apoch shebechusim aideis chaskus amulim Hashem is Baruch uba hashkachos hashleimah hamagia mireishis ve'al achris. That this is our role to play, us, those that are most distant, those that are in the time of the Ikvus and Mashiach. Hashem has left us this part that when we connect and we reveal Hashem in our lives through our Emunah, in the lowest places, that connects the end all the way with the start with those tremendous tzaddikim. And that brings out the fulfillment of Soif Davar Ma'achshav Tchila. Soif Ma'aseh Ma'achshav Tchila. We combine the end with the beginning. This is the whole idea of tshuva, that we say that a person has to go down in order to ultimately rise. Even if the person will fall to the lowest point, running through his bad actions, but if a person will encourage himself even at that point, and he'll have a Hashem there, he'll say, even here at the lowest point, Hashem is still here with me. That even if I'll make my bed in hell, you two are there with me, Hashem. Hashem is not distant. A person has a munah that even here in hell, so to speak, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with me. What he's able to do is he draws Hashem's focus into that place too, because by acknowledging Hashem in this place, so that I cause Hashem to look at me and sustain me over here. And he draws Hashem's revealed hashgacha into even the lowest places. He's able then to include even the lowest of all levels, and he brings it back to Hashem, who's the head of all levels. And by doing this, when he reveals Hashem in that place, it elevates all of the sparks that fell over there, these sparks, these divine sparks, and all the neshamas that fell there. When the light shines in this place, it shines for everyone, and it brings everything back up to Hashem. He takes this distant, cut-off place. We spoke about the chorus before. He takes that and he brings it back to Hashem Yisbarach. He takes everything also, as the eyesight travels from Hashem to this distant place, everything in between the eyesight of Hashem, the light also lights up all of that, and all of that becomes connected back to the beginning. He's able to elevate all of that. So for sure, the people that are most distant, when they'll do tshuva from where they're at, they will for sure be able to do tshuva. Because what they're doing is they are making the most tikkun, even though they may be the furthest. But now when they look to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with a munah from that place, and they cause Hashem to look at them and to reveal His hashkach over there, so they bring back so much more that certainly that will be considered a tshuva for them and for their actions. So they have an incredible amount of avodah. That's what it means that, as we started off, that the Yerida falling down, the purpose of it is ultimately to have a big aliyah. Because if they wouldn't go down, they wouldn't be able to bring all this stuff back up with them. Therefore, the geula that we're waiting for now, at this time period, right? We're not Reish Kol Dar. We're not talking about the tzaddikim, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, David, Shlomo that were at the beginning. We're talking about now, today, where there's so few tzaddikim. In our days, everyone seems so weak, and as we said, there's so much assimilation, and even the people that are not assimilated, they have so many difficulties. So therefore, today, what we're waiting for is tshuva. Like our rabbi said, Chazal say, Mashiach's coming is only dependent on tshuva. It's not dependent on tzaddikim never making mistakes. It's dependent on us doing tshuva. And our tshuva is an incredible tshuva, because our tshuva, we're bringing, tshuva means to return. We're returning so much back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That the Goya, the Redeemer, will come to Tzion and he'll return the Pesha, the ones, the sinners of Yaakov. That's from Mashiach. The Redeemer will come to Tzion. But through the tshuva, that specifically those that are distant, they do. So through their emunah, so they're able to finish off this whole process and to bring back the end and attach it to the beginning. Amen. So that is really what we're talking about over here. We are going to finish here, 9 o'clock exactly. And this is the idea of what we can accomplish by causing the hashkach of Hashem to reflect on us, and no matter where we are, through our emunah and b'tachon in Hashem, we can cause an incredible, colossal effect, and we can bring the world to tshuva to such an extent. It's specifically because we're so far that we are the ones that have the power to complete this process, and therefore it's easy for us to do tshuva, because when we do tshuva, we accomplish a tremendous amount. For David, or anyone else out there, any questions?
Not right now, Rabbi Yossi. Wow, Mom, it's just so much to reflect on, and I actually look forward to going back and re-listening to this and to the other shirim as well. Just thank you so much for the time, for the koach, for the clarity, and for giving of yourself to teach us this amazing Torah, and giving us this wonderful introduction to Likutey Moharan, Likutey halachos.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so I guess we'll discuss the future soon.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Okay, great. All right. Good night to everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.